Number 10. Our first one is a short but sweet entry into a repertoire of funny water slide incidents, and it's really just your run-of-the-mill overweight guy comes down an inflatable slide too quickly, launches over the bumper, and lands flat on his back in the mud. Ouch. This video goes by so fast that it's sort of hard to work out exactly where it's going, and then the guy comes out of nowhere and just forces his way over the barrier, stopping him from landing on the ground, and lands on the ground. What makes this even funnier is probably the reactions of the crowd, like the woman who screams into the camera when she sees what's happened to him. I wish it went on a bit longer so that we could see if anybody went over to help him, or they just let him lie there moaning. Number 9. As opposed to the short last one, number 9 on our list comes complete with an HD camera and slow motion replay. What more can you ask for in a funny video? We see one of those whirlpool water slides you get all over the place, where you slide around in a rubber ring until you get sucked down into the oblivion of having to get out of the water and cue again. We see the girl going around and around until she is about to go into the opening in the center, and then her ring flips over and she ends up flipping right around and going into the tube upside down with the ring on top of her. This may be funny, but also very dangerous. And I'll bet the girl was pretty scared when it happened. Then again, I'm not really sure what the park could do to stop something like this from happening again, and she probably was fine. Number 8. Now this guy is definitely a moron. He clearly doesn't understand anything about inflatables and the fact that only as long as there is great force acting on them, they will sink under its weight. That's why the blow-up tower he lands on shoots back up and throws him onto the ground like a catapult, where he lands straight into a big piece of plastic and rolls over in the pool. It looks like he hurt himself pretty badly for a moment, but he's smiling when the camera zooms in on his face. Clearly, he hasn't learned his lesson about jumping onto tall bouncy castles from the roofs of houses, and it wouldn't surprise me if he tried the same trick again without knowing anything about the laws of physics, stopping him from achieving his dream of squashing an inflatable.
Oh.
Number 7. This one employs a little bit of misdirection. On the right of the screen, we have the slide itself with the little water spurts going to keep it slippery, with kids going down it pretty happily. There also seems to be a little girl stuck at the top. Whether she's waiting for her friend before going down or she's too scared, we don't know. You shouldn't even be looking at the side of the screen anyway. The left side of the water slide is the way more interesting one, as we see an adult woman climbing up and carrying a kid with her. Whether she intended to go down the water slide or not is up for debate, but ultimately she loses her grip and comes crashing down the ladder, knocking down 2 or 3 kids as she does, and the other woman filming totally loses her mind laughing. Number 6. It seems that people in this video accidentally achieve what the guy at number 8 failed at doing, which turns out so funny that the person filming is practically falling over laughing at it. I guess this is just a cautionary tale against a bunch of adults playing on inflatable water slides that probably have very clear age restrictions on the boxes to stop exactly this kind of thing from happening. One woman goes down just fine, if kind of slowly, which is when some guy throws himself onto the top of it and ends up rolling and pulling the entire slide down on top of both of them. Probably not what he intended to happen, since I think he wanted to crash into the girl at the bottom, but still with equally hilarious results. Number 5. A personal favorite now is a girl trying and failing to use one of those surfing machines with a boogie board. She comes sliding down the artificial wave at the beginning and then just kind of goes too far and stops in the slide. Onlookers are already laughing, and it gets funnier when she just stands up and tries to come walking back, presumably to try again. Well, she gets sucked off her feet by the force of the wave machine and ends up getting pulled all the way around it without the board to help her. It's great. Her initial confusion added to her getting wrenched off her feet and around in a corkscrew before being spat out back into the slide with a foam board following her is just hilarious. Especially when you think that the ride not working is the funny part of this clip. Number 4. Everyone's worst nightmare is probably what happens in the next waterslide fail. It's hard to work out exactly what's going on until the girl goes flying off the end of the huge waterslide built on the side of this hill. I guess no one taught her about when you dive, you have to have as little surface area as possible to break through the water, because she ends up landing flat on her back on the surface of the lake. And the interesting thing about the water is that the higher you are when you hit it, the harder it is. From high enough, water could have the same effect on someone as landing on solid concrete. That's exactly what happens to her. The screaming and shocked reactions of the people watching are my reaction too, because this was genuinely painful to watch. I don't even want to imagine how bad she hurt her back. Number 3. I always wondered if anybody ever got hurt on those bumpy plastic slides that jerk you around when you're going down them. As if a normal, smooth slide just isn't good enough and they need to cause extra injury. Well, as luck would have it, someone did get hurt on one of them, and it's pretty funny. He goes bouncing down, and about halfway towards the large pool at the bottom, he kind of flies off to the side and keeps hitting the slide until he crashes onto it sideways and eventually falls into the water. Honestly, watching this video, you'd think the slide was genuinely bouncy. And it's pretty hilarious how badly his attempt to just go down a slide goes wrong, and it reminds me of something out of a cartoon that I wouldn't actually believe could happen in real life. Number 2. This video here is called a deadliest turn on a water slide, and is one of my favorites because it's just not one person getting into a freak accident on a slide. It's dozens of people all trying and failing to get around this one corner. Almost all of them flip over and end up upside down, where their previous momentum just keeps them all going. As if that's not enough, there's a second corner right after the first, and they get the same kind of jolt going around that one as well. It's funny to see the looks of confusion on their faces when they end up out of the rubber ring and just lying in the water waiting for it to end. And you've got to think that the guy holding the camera and watching is actually having a lot more fun than any of the people in the video. It's like none of them even looked at what happened on the ride before they went on it. Number 1. Clearly, he starts filming with his GoPro camera because he thinks it'll be just a pretty cool 20-second or so ride on a water slide. But it's not. He goes down happy as can be before getting himself stuck in a massive black and white checkered chamber with some headache-inducing purple lights. It takes him a while to get unstuck, but in the end, he manages it, just for the exact same thing to happen again half the video later. It takes him 2 minutes to get around a ride that probably isn't supposed to last a quarter of that, and he even has to jump ship and part ways with his trusty rubber ring to escape the rebound chamber. The checkers give the whole thing a stuck in Wonderland feel, and makes you wonder if gravity is about to reverse and send you further down a very slippery plastic rabbit hole.